BXC Exchange is a safe, easy-to-use, US-compliant exchange.
Because cryptocurrency is such a young industry, there's still a real lack of transparency.
So we are actually using Dragonchain's technology to help solve these transparency issues.
BXC partnered with Dragonchain to take advantage of their anti-fraud and transparency systems.
So using Dragonchain's technology, we're actually able to use provably fair tech to verify that our order books and trades and executions are all very transparent to our users. This alone makes BXC the only provably fair exchange in the entire world.
I have more than 20 years experience doing large, technically complex projects. One of the things that I was really pleased with in working with Dragonchain is that it allowed us to do the integration with their technology very quickly.
That's what makes Dragonchain and this a perfect partnership.
All right, welcome everybody to Super Happy Dragon Lucky episode 0x36. It's the 55th episode, and that commercial was about the BXC system that we've built in. I mean, we started with a system to let them do their trading competitions as a provably fair giveaway, but we have since added integrated a trading system where there is, and at the beginning, I guess it's proof of your trade. You can see your trade there. You can see precisely what happened and when it happened. It does offer proof of volume, so that theoretically you could actually verify that they really have the volume that they declare. And we're right now working on a system, and there's some integration points that are going on right now that will plug in their order book system as well, so that the main point is that when you make a trade, you can use blockchain and actually see that all of the orders that you encountered with that trade pre-existed your trade. That is, they didn't just cook them up out of thin air in order to get the better price that you should have gotten. And with it, we also introduced something that's going to start rolling out to all of our other systems, which is a US dollar metric as to how much security has been applied to any given transaction. This one in particular is, it started around, what Rocco, what was it, 20 in the 20s?
Yeah, it was early, somewhere around the 20s, and now it's already up to 157 million.
Yeah. So we have much older transactions on a couple of the other systems. So when those reports roll out, it'll be fun to look at that. We're hoping we can have that rolled out next week. So that's all we have for announcements this week. Pretty short. We're going to come back with our guests, Pomp and Titan, right after this.
On January 7th, 2020, Dragonchain hosted a 24-hour live demonstration during which 250 million transactions were executed fully on an operational network. Every single transaction on Dragonchain is decentralized immediately through 5 levels of DragonNet, and then secured with combined proof on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and Binance Chain, via Interchain. This means that every single transaction is secured by, and traceable to these networks. An attack on this system would require a simultaneous attack on all of the interchained networks. The demonstration was of a single business system, and any user is able to scale this further, by running multiple systems simultaneously. Our goal for the event was to demonstrate consistent capacity greater than that of Visa over an extended time period. The event illustrates the level of scaling possible with Dragonchain's operational network and interchain capabilities. At no point during the demonstration did other business systems see any detrimental effects to their own Dragonchain systems. There was no congestion on the operational DragonNet. Transaction fees did not increase for any node on the entire network, even though we saw 6 orders of magnitude increase in traffic. On the Dragonchain network, transaction fees are deterministic and predictable. Taking advantage of Dragonchain's economic model, a business can reduce transaction fees to as low as 25 10 millionths of a dollar per transaction. Yes, that's $0.000025 per transaction. These were not empty transactions. Every transaction contained mock-up data representing real-world employee data such as first name, last name, home addresses, etc. The system used to broadcast this data and scale the business system nodes is open source. Dragonchain's architecture attacks the scalability issue from multiple angles. Dragonchain is a hybrid blockchain platform, wherein every transaction is protected on a business node to the requirements of that business or purpose. A business node may be held completely private or may be exposed or replicated to any level of exposure desired. Every node has its own blockchain and is independently scalable. Dragonchain established context-based verification as its consensus model. Every transaction is immediately usable on a trust basis, and in time is provable to an increasing level of decentralized consensus. A transaction will have a level of decentralization to approximately 700 independently owned and deployed Dragonchain nodes within seconds, and full decentralization to Bitcoin and Ethereum within minutes or hours. Level 5 nodes, also called interchain nodes, function to secure all transactions to public or otherwise external chains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. These nodes scale the system by aggregating multiple blocks into a single interchain transaction on a cadence. This timing is configurable based upon average fees for each respective chain. For detailed information about Dragonchain's architecture and context-based verification, please refer to the Dragonchain architecture document at https://dragonchain.com/dragonchain-architecture.pdf. For more information about Dragonchain and its products and services, visit dragonchain.com. Thank you for watching.
All right, so we're back. Welcome to the show, Anthony Pompliano and Ty Blackard. So Pomp and Ty, you want to introduce yourself? Let's start with Ty.
Awesome. So my name is Ty Blackard. I'm the CCO of FOMO Hunt. We're building financial products for the future, and we'll probably get into a little bit about what we're building and when we're going to launch. But that's a brief intro to me.
Excellent. Well,
How you guys doing? Anthony Pompliano. Most people just call me Pomp. Manage some capital in the blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin space, and then create a bunch of content on the internet.
excellent. It goes without saying. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Really nice of you. So first topic. Barstool Sports CEO Dave Portnoy. Getting into Bitcoin and crypto with the help of Winklevoss. If I understand the story correctly, good, bad, or no effect on the industry, Pomp?
I think generally net positive. The two big things are just if Dave is going to go super deep in the crevices of kind of shitcoin land. And I saw some comments he said the other day about the pump and dumps and things like that. Look, it is what it is. And I've got incredible respect for the guy and have written quite a bit about just how it is pretty obvious how big of a business they're going to build. But I do think that in the regulated world of the financial kind of system, you're going to see SEC, CFTC, et cetera, just kind of look over and say, hey, when I hear pump and dump and laughing and celebrating, that's probably not a good thing. But other than that, I think, Dave has a massive platform. He's actually very well respected by a lot of people. And his excitement will kind of get transferred to other people. Right. And so that's kind of a net positive, I think, for the space, and super excited that he's here. And now BlockFi, one of the companies we're invested in, is advertising on a bunch of Barstool properties. So it's kind of the cool to see that as well.
Nice. Ty.
Yeah, I think it's a positive. I think it's definitely a positive. I think you could compare it to, for what he's doing with like OXT, for example. He did like he didn't call it a coin of the day, but it might as well have been a coin of the day. And it kind of brings back memories to John McAfee and his coin of the day. So it might kind of lean over into shitcoin territory, but I think it's overall a net positive. Oh, the tradition lives on. There you go. Yeah. So
it's good attention, right? It's good attention. And he just spoke with Trump too, right? I think he just have a sit down. So yeah.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, he's got a lot of attention.
Wide attention. Yeah. It's pretty good stuff. So awesome. Okay. Then on to DeFi. So thoughts. Is there anything in DeFi that interests you, Ty?
Is there anything in DeFi that interests me? I like to be able to swap my tokens without paying $40 in gas fees. So that would be a nice feature. Unfortunately, we don't have that right now because these solutions are very minimal. So I'm hoping that with the investments of like Binance Labs, for example, into like 1inch Exchange and a lot of these like gas tokens coming out, I'm hoping that will fix that problem, and then I will love DeFi more. So,
Pomp, what do you think?
So I always start with just Bitcoin was the first DeFi application, still the most valuable one. And the reason why I start there is decentralized finance. I think some people have somehow like boxed in the word DeFi with the kind of what I'll call like in Ethereum enabled financial engineering applications, right?
Right.
I understand why that's exciting to a lot of people. There's, some level of return, there's risk. Like there's almost this feeling of like, am I using financial services or am I gambling? Right. And there's kind of the line isn't really black and white. And so I fully get it. Right. I've bet on enough sports in my life to understand why that's exciting to folks. But at the same time, I do think that kind of crypto in general is going after this idea of decentralized finance. And decentralized finance, you got to first start with money. So we've got Bitcoin. It is decentralized. It's, grown very nicely. It's gotten adoption, and I think it'll continue to do that. Now the question is just like, what are the other decentralized applications? Are those going to be built on top of and around Bitcoin? Are those going to be things that are built maybe, let's say, in the Ethereum ecosystem, and then we're going to take Bitcoin and like bring it over to the Ethereum system? You see that with the kind of repped BTC and attempts like that. Ultimately, the market's going to decide. So like my opinion and frankly, your guys' opinion, like we just don't matter, right? Because the market will ultimately be the referee. But I do think that decentralized finance is like one of the key reasons why we're all here. And so we should encourage as much innovation as possible, but by encouraging, it also means like we should kind of call out the garbage as well. So when you see the super high risk stuff that's kind of trying to pass off as if it's the same thing as, the legacy finance system from a risk perspective, you got to kind of, hey guys, people can lose money here, and maybe that's not the best.
So you're saying I shouldn't go all in on meme coin, right?
Look, here's the crazy thing. I'm not going to say who the people are, but there's a couple people on Twitter who DM me every once in a while, and they'll show me like their returns, and they're literally investing in things they've never heard of, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I've gone and I've looked and like double checked, like did they actually make 800% on something? And that's what it says it's up in a couple of days. And so again, I understand why people like that stuff. It's just that's all short-lived. Like, what was the thing that happened recently? Yam, yeah, right. And did it go to zero, or what happened? Like, maybe you guys could even tell me, like, what happened there?
I supposedly, from what I've heard, it was supposed to come down to $1, but it went a little farther than $1. And what is it sitting at now? I think it was like down 99% when I last checked.
Okay, so it didn't go down 100%, just 99%.
Yeah, it's at 85 cents now, but it's supposed to be at $1. So I don't know how that whole works,
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you can see, right? Like, I think people were driving a huge return on it. It was exciting. It's something to talk about, right? It's kind of, frankly, look, it's boring to just sit and hold Bitcoin. I get it. But that's why the best investors in the world, part of it is that they don't do that much, right? They kind of put investments on. They're super patient. They just let compounding and kind of time work its magic. I think a lot of people want to do something. As they wake up every day, they look at these charts and they say, what am I going to do today to make money? Right. Mm-hmm. And, there's this thing that's just going through the roof. cool. I know it's not sustainable. I'll put some money in, and then I promise you I'll get out before the music stops.
Right.
Yes.
Doesn't exactly happen that way for everybody, right?
And yeah, Rocco, you see they had some people added liquidity to Dragon Uniswap, right?
Yeah, I saw some community members, they were adding some liquidity there. Yeah. And my question was actually like, okay, if I was to get into, Uniswap and pull some of my some liquidity, would my time be affected, Joe? Because I'm closing in on 100 million time, baby, and I don't want to mess with my time. And if
I mean, moving it, you'd sacrifice it, right? Yep.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's a risk, and
Yep.
I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk just yet.
One, and in the very least, I think the high fees, the probably more important than high fees, or more negative than high fees, is the network congestion, because I've sent multiple transactions that have not been able to get on chain. So in a very I guess it's at least a really good test of the network, right? It's like it shows us where we, if Ethereum fees are higher than Bitcoin fees, that's an interesting case. Something is odd there. So speaking of which, the fees, and this is probably the most important thing going on in crypto right now, in terms of, is this usable? Is it sustainable? Will Ethereum 2.0 solve this? And is it sustainable even in a reasonably short-term tie?
Absolutely not. I mean, I posted a tweet today. It was like something to the effect of, there's some people out here that are making profit on some of these shitcoins and then swapping with a $40 gas fee, which is probably their profit, right? I mean, they're literally swapping with transaction fees that end up being their profit. So it's like it defeats the entire purpose. So no, it's not sustainable. The biggest problem right now is that there has to be other solutions, more layers, which is what they're doing. So I guess they'll come into it soon enough. But right now, I mean, this is just like the beginning. So what's it going to look like halfway in? It's not going to be looking good at all. I mean, this is going to be worse than CryptoKitties.
Oh yeah,
too.
It's not really too much traffic. So yeah, what do you think, Pomp?
I mean, look, it's the Yogi Berra quote, right? Of like, no one uses that because it's always too busy, right? It's always too full. Talk about the restaurant. So to me, I think I agree that like this is not sustainable, right? Because it's obvious that it's hitting kind of the capacity to make something super useful. The question is just, what do people do instead, right? So they either are going to go look somewhere else, they're going to wait until the technology improves, or they're just going to leave, right? And so it's like, I don't know kind of where they go, but I do know that if I'm trying to send somebody $20 and I have to pay $99, like I'm not going to do that, right? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Yeah. So you start to get in this game of like, almost like where is the point of kind of negative return, right? So like somebody's willing to do this all the way up until you hit, I don't know, $20 transaction fee, but after $20 you lose people. Maybe that's the number. Maybe it's 50, or maybe it's $2. I haven't done the work to really understand that. But I do think that the reason the gas fees are high is because there's people using it, but also it's obvious that it's not scalable or sustainable in this model. And so there's got to be solutions, in defense of the people on the Ethereum kind of community. Like, it's not just an Ethereum thing, right? I think this is one of the things that keeps coming up across a lot of these different blockchains. And it just takes time to build the scaling solutions. So, I've got confidence it'll happen. We got to be patient.
Yeah. And by the way, it's I think a lot of it is about open minds, because, the Reddit scaling bake-off is going on. And, we proposed as part of it. And, we were kind of the odd man out in it, in terms of we were different than everyone else. We weren't a purely Ethereum solution. We were more of a what they would consider a side chain or a different layer. But it's interesting because we proposed that we can scale Reddit itself. That is, we've already proven that we can handle twice the transactions they have. but it wasn't. It was somewhat welcomed by some people, but it was an odd, one of the typical things where you walk into a room with a different. Very, very tribal, right? And so we're trying to figure out how to, it's like, look, we connect to Bitcoin, we connect to Ethereum on purpose. We don't only connect to one system because, frankly, there's a lot of other utility out there. I mean, and when you say when people will leave, I do think that they will probably leave to, other projects, other networks. I mean, okay, if I can't do, but that's if you have a business, it sucks because you can't just switch over. You have to actually recode everything. And so that's some of what we're trying to solve. It's interesting anyway. So, and we do have, there are some things they're not looking at in terms of federation and making a marketplace of networks. That is, if I had all these networks and Bitcoin is the big dog and they have, massive hash power, massive security, more compute power than any system, any other network on Earth, right? It is far and away the biggest thing. And then you have Ethereum, it's pretty decent. You have a lot of others in between there, but it's really interesting to me that no one's looking at federating. We can already do atomic swaps between networks. We can do that. Other projects can do that. Why not just make it a little easier to move between networks so you could have multiple Ethereum networks? And when one gets a little too bogged down, you switch over to another. Anyway, stuff like that.
I mean, the biggest thing is like interoperability. Nobody's focusing. Well, I mean, you guys are focusing on interoperability, but nobody else seems to realize that it's like the elephant in the room. Like if we can have interoperability between chains, say you do like a Uniswap, but for liquidity pools amongst Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, Binance Chain. And then you just see like who's got the best transaction fees, right? And then just decide on like how to go. Obviously, you'll have to go with depending on what chain your token is on. But I mean, that's like the route we should be going down, because now we have these liquidity pools. They're all aggregated, on one exchange, Paraswap, Uniswap. But now it's like the next step. Like let's go further than that, than just the chain that we're on. But nobody's focusing on that.
I agree. Okay, so next up we have Ethereum fixed supply and the economic discussion around that. So, what do you think, Pomp? Because I think maybe you commented on it. I can't remember. I know there's been so much about that. It's been interesting to me.
Yeah, look, people are. Everyone wants to know my opinion on this, and frankly, my opinion is. It is really important to be able to run a full node, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that everyone has to do it, but the ability to do it and do it easily leads to a lot of advantages, and mainly one of the key reasons why I think Bitcoin has been so successful. This is true. I had Roger Ver come on the podcast, and him and I had a pretty deep discussion as to, that's one of the things that he doesn't believe as strongly anymore, and therefore made certain design decisions or belief in Bitcoin Cash or whatever, right? So this isn't just a Bitcoin versus Ethereum thing. This is a staunch belief in the importance of any individual being able to easily and fairly cheaply be able to set up and run a full node. With that said, when it comes to the supply, I've been fairly critical of the meme ETH is money. Mainly because what that implies is that ETH is good money, right? But really all Ether is it's no different than a fiat currency, right? What I mean by that is the Ether monetary policy is not fixed. It is determined in a reactive way by a group of people, and it has the ability to increase or decrease. Now, that is almost identical to a fiat currency. Right. The again, in defense of the Ethereum kind of community, is every time they've made the decision, they've made the quote unquote correct decision to continue to decrease the incoming supply. Right. So to kind of to do that. And so I think from the Bitcoin perspective, like, oh, that's the right decision. but the fact that the possibility exists for them to actually increase, to be quantitative easing rather than quantitative tightening, makes it no different than a fiat currency. And then you get to kind of the supply question, which is just, to go through an entire exercise where nobody knew what the existing supply was is one thing. That's, some people may disagree with this in the Bitcoin world, but that's fine if people didn't know what it was. But when it's brought to your attention, let's go figure it out. Instead, there was this reaction of it doesn't matter, or we're close enough. And I just kind of was like, man, I don't know. When you're off by $150 million, it's close enough. Sounds pretty crazy. And here's one thing that I will say. Marty Bent retweeted this the other day, and he said something like, I can't stop thinking about this. And so I read what he retweeted, and now I can't stop thinking about it, which is somebody, I think in I don't know, 2017, 18, maybe it was 19, said Ethereum either maybe or will be the Theranos of crypto. Now, I'm not going to by any means go that far and say that, but I do think what is interesting is if you kind of take the ethos of that statement, which is the whole point of crypto is to be able to verify and not trust people or things.
Yes.
If you have a community that is being asked questions and they're simply just pointing to third-party data sources, or they're responding in a way that is very cavalier and it doesn't matter or we're close enough, it kind of just gets you thinking what else are we missing? Right. And I don't have enough information. I haven't done the work. I frankly don't really care that much. I don't hold any ether or anything like that. But I do think that that was very surprising to me. And so that was my main takeaway from the whole supply thing, was not that it existed. It was just the response when it was pointed out. So take that for what it is, but that's kind of been my thought process so far.
Right. What do you think, Ty?
Well, I think Pomp fleshed it out pretty well. I'll also say that I think there's a lot of politics that is played in the ETH community. And I wouldn't say that in the decentralized nature that we're supposed to be in, or at least from the decentralized nature that Bitcoin created, that's the right way of doing things. And I think it's going to present a lot more problems. And I think it has presented problems. I think it's presented problems with Ethereum 2.0, which is still not released. So,
right.
I think they got a lot of cleaning up to do. It's great, but I think politics is starting to play a factor, and that's just human error, human emotion.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes.
And I guess I would say I never considered Ethereum to be money, the way that Bitcoin's purpose was liberty in finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Money. Ethereum was world computer, and so I can understand a little bit less focus on the economy, but I think Pomp's right, but it was the actual response was interesting to me too. And in fact, there's another point to it that and it would take too long to go into, but it was the equivalent of when Mac went from when they changed chipsets to Intel based, and their entire marketing had been, no, it's just faster. Ignore the numbers, it's just faster. But then when they changed to Intel, all of a sudden, look, the number's bigger, and and it became a really funny thing to me that it's that's how marketing works. That the same way that Bitcoin, when they were pushing for small blocks, had much higher fees, said, no, it's good to have higher fees. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a business person, or I'm somebody who wants to use Bitcoin for any purpose. How is a bigger fee better? I mean, I understand it might be worth it. It is there's a market there. There might be worth it, but that doesn't mean that a bigger fee is better, because definitely a bigger fee is not better. And now Ethereum is doing that. If you see that they're starting to post that, look at the fees. People are using our system. It's better than Bitcoin because the fees are bigger. And it's just crazy to me. It's just it's a not honest discussion. It's, taking, because it should be, how efficient is your network to do what you do, right? And, it's a different utility than Bitcoin. So it's not apples to apples maybe, but it's odd. Anyway. So
yeah, I wouldn't pride myself on $40 gas fees.
Crazy.
Not something I would die on,
Yeah, that's just crazy. So the world's nuts. Okay, so the next up we have, and I have, let's see here. I'm going to share this this stream here, and one way or another. Wait a minute, that's the wrong one. No, sorry. Okay, Satoshi quote video. So play this, and we want to ask you about this after here.
No mechanism exists to make payments over a communications channel without a trusted party. What is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust, allowing any two willing parties to transact directly with each other without the need for a trusted third party.
All right, so trivia. What is the music, Ty?
Oh.
I want to ask that. I want to ask that. So do you see cash versus store value? And this is not maybe the biggest debate on earth right now, but it does fit in with all the Ethereum stuff going on. Do you see Bitcoin being used for anything else besides an investment, or for fiat replacement? And that was Brian on Twitter that had asked that. So, Pomp, what do you think?
There's two pieces here. So first is sequentially, the dollar started out as a store of value and then becomes a currency, right? So you had gold. Gold then needed to be easier, so they created paper claims on the gold. Then eventually there's electronic money, credit, kind of all the layers on top of it, and then we just unpegged the gold from the dollar. So I think that naturally a currency sequentially goes store of value, then currency. And that's kind of the path that we're seeing Bitcoin do. The second thing I'll say, again, like, forget my opinion. Who the hell am I? Just look at the data. The adjusted on-chain transaction volume of Bitcoin last year. So this takes out all the exchanges. It takes out kind of known exchange wallets, all that kind of stuff, any kind of wash transactions, everything. The adjusted on-chain transaction volume last year was greater than the transaction volume of Apple Pay, PayPal, or Venmo.
Wow.
So again, those aren't currencies, right? So it's not like saying that Venmo as a product is the representation of the US dollar, but what it does show is, like, you can't say nobody's using it as a currency, right? Because they're actually using this payment network, right? Or this payment system, which is the Bitcoin network, more than they're using Apple Pay, Venmo, or PayPal. And those companies are widely accepted in terms of, like, oh, those are popular, those work. So I think that just when you start to kind of peel apart some of this, like, there's the narratives, especially from the people who don't want to believe in this stuff. But when you start to unpack the data, like, and I'm biased, right? So I go looking for the data that ends up, don't even mean to, but I find the data that, like, convinces me I'm right. I just think that it's really, really compelling stuff.
That's interesting. All right. Yeah. What do you think, Ty?
I mean, I look at Bitcoin like, what in the future I see it as like a foundation to to money, and I see it as an asset. I see it as an open source technology. I see it as multiple different things. So I see the future of Bitcoin as like this this technology where just everything's built on top of it, and like layer 2, layer 3 solutions are built on top of it, and the Bitcoin itself, the open source tech, is your gold, right? And then you have all these transactions that are facilitated by the network. Speed, you could debate that and all that stuff, but I think ultimately, like, I would like a world where Bitcoin is the foundation, where it is the core of how money is valued, and how or where money is valued at. So I'd say that what will happen is it will, I don't know if Bitcoin itself, personally, I don't know if it'll be the currency that it was originally supposed to be, but I think that it will be the core layer of what can be, and to facilitate these new solutions, these off-chain solutions that will eventually facilitate like a currency. So I think it's a lot of things. I think it's an open source tech. I think it's an asset, store of value. I think it can be a currency in the future. So it's just a matter of, I mean, the other thing that's going to happen as well is once the volatility starts to kind of siphon off and things kind of flatten out with more market cap, I think the whole volatility argument will go out the window. And then I think that's what happened to gold, actually. Like in the very early days, it's like very volatile. Obviously, more market cap added, kind of flattened the curve and lowered that volatility. Then you can actually refer to it, or at least use it as a type of currency. Once it flattens out. So that's what I'd say.
Right. That's good. Yeah, and we look at it as the ability to actually have measurable proof, because you can always put something in a database, but no one can ever trust your database, right? But if you take your data and actually get it on chain, you can actually now say it's, it would cost us this much to fake this, right? So if you're in a court case or anything, so it's really interesting stuff when you get into some of the values that are there. And let's see here. What's next? Rocco, you have something, I think, right?
We got a question from one of the community members on Twitter. Okay, Mr. Crypto asks, what is the future of blockchain scaling? Who went first? You want to go take this, Pomp?
Short answer is I don't know for sure. I don't think anyone knows for sure. I think everyone's got kind of conviction that, one, we need scalable solutions, right? And then two is there's bunch of different groups kind of pursuing their own strategy. And the beauty of a free market like this is the competition will determine who wins. And some people will argue that the superior technology will win. I would probably argue that no, it's just whoever gets the market adoption will win, even if it's inferior technology. We've seen that before. But I think that those solutions, if you go to the Bitcoin world, like for the most part, I think it's pretty general consensus that's going to be a layer 2 technology, right? It's just like, what is that layer 2 technology? And if people don't believe that, then they've kind of forked Bitcoin or gone and done other things to create what they think is the best path. But so far, the market's determined that kind of a layer 2 solution to Bitcoin is going to be the chain that ends up being the most valuable.
When I think of scaling, I mean, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I know too much about Dragonchain, but I always just think of Dragonchain when I think of like scaling, because it is, in my opinion, it is the way that we should be doing these things. Interoperability. It's pretty simple. It seems simple, but it's just not the main focus right now for a lot of these. These ecosystems. So you have like the Ethereum ecosystem. Okay, that's being built. You have all these new products on Ethereum. That's cool. You'll probably have EOS kind of take off a little bit too. Maybe Binance Chain a little bit more. But what's eventually going to happen is then they're going to have to start like branching out. And we just talked about this, where they're going to have to start looking at interoperability, and that's going to be where the real scaling happens. I don't think it's going to happen on the chains themselves. I just think that there's too many things, too many factors that could, keep these chains from being congested at some point. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what happens with Ethereum 2.0. But I think ultimately the best solution is just providing interoperability between all the chains, and then just I don't know, just using each different chain and their different special abilities and their benefits all at the same time.
Right, that's scale. I mean, that's what we're trying to. We have, by the way, we have some interesting stuff on fees, and the scaling of traffic without affecting fees. To have, because you look at it, and if you look at it from a business perspective, somebody who actually wants to build something, you have to be able to get stuff on chain. And the issue is if you have volatility of fees and or of token price, it can get really messy, very complex. It's hard to build something today that you're going to be able to use in 5 years with any confidence. That it's a crapshoot. I'm gonna put $1 million into building that system and just hope that network stays afloat and that CryptoKitties 3.0 doesn't come out and just completely kill everything that I planned. It's kind of crazy right now. And so, yeah, we've focused on a lot of that, and that's really, at least in my mind, important, but it's also a little bit abstract and hard to explain. And so, it's a slow process, but anyway.
That is the biggest thing though, right? I mean, just the education on the material. Most people just don't. I mean, price go up. That's what I care about, right?
Yeah.
But the real like tech behind everything. And I think the other thing is Ethereum's easy to develop on, obviously, right now with Solidity. So the ease of access is presenting all these opportunities. But at some point, maybe now, maybe somewhere in the halfway of the cycle, there's going to have to be like a dispersion of the development to other chains, because it's just going to get ridiculous, and nobody's going to want to work on it if they can't even if no one wants to use their product because their gas fees are too high.
Right.
Hey, next question here. We got. Okay, Ty. Did you see the Fortnite ban, and what did you think of it?
I briefly saw it. So I guess something's happening between Fortnite and Apple. Fortnite lowers their fees, and then Fortnite releases this. Was it an Apple ad parody? I know you guys will know because I'm younger, but yeah. So I think that's pretty interesting. I like that they're kind of putting it to the man. So.
Yeah, the parody was pretty intense.
Yeah,
and stuff. Did you see it, Pom? Did you see the ban on it?
I saw the whole thing, and it goes back to the whole idea that every disruptor or challenger, if successful, ends up becoming the man.
Yes.
Right? There was a time when Apple was the one punching up. Now they're the one getting punched at. And, look, ultimately, I think Apple's going to have a hard time defending the 30% in the App Store because I think what ends up occurring is it's one thing to say, hey, if you want to use our tools, it's a 30% fee. But when you start saying things like, we apply these standards equally to everybody, but then it comes out that Amazon's using their own credit card processing software in their Prime Video app. Like, do you really, and then you look at things like when they went after Basecamp with having people go sign up online. But then like Netflix does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, look, I like
work.
Apple. Apple's cool. I got no beef with Apple, right? But at the same time, I just think that you're gonna have a hard time making that argument, especially to regulators who they're just looking for something to get you on, right?
Yeah.
And so, my point. I actually wrote about this, and one of my points was just like, look. The beauty of like a monopolistic situation is that it's super, super profitable until it's not, right? Until it gets broken. And like, if you see the writing on the wall, sure, you can kind of put up a fight and try to hold on to it. But like, really what you should do is make sure that it doesn't end up leading to, the whole like antitrust stuff coming after Apple.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like, where's the line between, okay, we want to protect this one revenue stream versus, oh wait, regulators may come down on us. Like, I don't know. There's some financial calculation I'm sure they've done to know where that line is.
And the funny thing is, when Android's App Store came out, I halfway expected them to at least undercut, but somehow they said, "Oh, let's do 30 also," and it's just stayed. And it's just such a surprise to me because it's very confusing if you're building mobile apps too, because you say, "Well, I want to do this, but would that be an in-app purchase or not? Do I send them to my website? Is that, we get called out or anything else?" So we have a side-by-side if I wanted to play it, because I thought it was brilliant, because I remember in '84 when that other ad came out, and I'm like, oh my, that is the best answer in the world ever. And hopefully it was planned. I don't know, but it was really good. So
today, we celebrate the anniversary of the Platform Unification Directives. For years, they have given us their songs, their labor, their dreams. In exchange, we have taken our tribute, our profits, our control. This power is ours and ours alone. We shall prevail.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was brilliant. I just love
solid.
it. Because it's IBM. Because IBM was the big guy, Apple's the little guy. They come in, and then they flip it. It's just amazing. I loved it. So cool.
Great
That's why
marketing.
they did it with Google, right? I mean, Google's the same way. And by the way, with the regulators for Google, I mean, there are a lot of people calling to have them, broken up as well. So you would think it would hit, be on the radar to fix that, but we'll see. Okay, so let's see here. The next topic: MicroStrategy buys 250 million in Bitcoin. First, is it the first listed company to buy Bitcoin as part of its capital allocation strategy? Is that correct? And will it be? Is this going to become a common thing, or is it a gimmick, or what do you think, Tom?
No, look. So a couple of key pieces to this. This gentleman, he's a Bitcoiner, man. If you read that press release, he's not doing this as a marketing gimmick. He absolutely understands the kind of macro environment, and he is, I am a big believer that he will have history look fondly upon him. Let's put it that way, in terms of being one of the first to do this, and frankly have the courage. Right? It's one thing if, I'm a startup and I want to do this with $100,000, like $250 million. This is real, and he did it kind of all in one shot. And I think the part that's interesting is back in 2013, people have found tweets where he was, I don't want to say anti-Bitcoin, but just like didn't see a future for it.
Really?
And so, basically they were saying, look, in 7 years, look at the difference, right? Look at the kind of evolution. And so I think it's cool. It's a NASDAQ listed company, $1.2 billion valuation at the time. I looked at it last night. It's up 16% since he did this. So just as Square's figuring out, it pays to embrace Bitcoin, I guess.
Smart, right? What do you think, Ty?
I think Bitcoin's performance speaks for itself. And I think a lot of these institutions are, just swallowing their pride and accepting the macro scenario that we're in and realizing that Bitcoin is the best asset to survive this scenario. And it would be silly not to have an allocation of Bitcoin. So I think MicroStrategy is not the last. And I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we'll see more public traded companies come out and probably, break 250 million, maybe 500 million, maybe $1 billion, somewhere upwards. And, go back to like Paul Tudor Jones, and he likens Bitcoin to gold in the 70s. I think that this is a very interesting time with the M2 money supply skyrocketing. I think that, right now with COVID and everything, it's a very interesting macro environment. And I think things are about to get real. I think this is a good signal.
Is there any chance you could use it to repatriate some of the money that's sitting outside the U.S.? How would that fit? Is there any possibility for that use? Is that crazy?
You can bring it back. I don't know if you're going to get away with not paying taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just wonder. That's something I hadn't even thought of. I know. I just looked it up. I had a company out East Coast. We did government work, and we announced publicly that we were going to start accepting Bitcoin in 2013. But it took me quite a while to get stuff set up back then. But it's interesting. I mean, Rocco, if you had a public company, what percentage of your assets would you hold in Bitcoin?
I would, at this point, honestly, at least 50%. I mean, it's like the future. I mean,
Rest the dragon, right?
Digital gold. I mean, yes, exactly. I hold old dragon actually, but
joking.
The board would kill you.
Sorry, that's funny. No, it's because that's interesting stuff. I mean, a public company doing that is a big deal. So, and it's depending upon timing, of course, but I think right now, extremely smart, early in any potential bull run, it's a very, very smart time to declare it and do it.
Savvy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some coworkers right now buying Bitcoin that I talked to them over a year ago, and they were like, thought I was crazy. And now one of my best friends and his brother just bought some, and they're just letting it sit there because they see it the writing on the wall. It's just amazing how people, and that's why the price is going to go up too. It's just you have these people, just regular people buying it, and they don't know how to go and exchange and trade it out. I mean, they're just going to hold it, and
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing to do. So we have one more Twitter question, right?
Yes. Brian Schmeeker asks, all right, Pop, how do you think the upcoming election will help or hurt crypto in general, depending on the outcome?
The best thing that I will say is I saw a tweet maybe 2 months ago, and it said, I didn't know that I was going to have to choose between two presidential candidates that are both over the age of 70, have both been accused of sexual assault, and, both seem crazy or something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And when I read that, one, like, funny, right? Okay. But what it reminded me of is, like, politicians are all the same, right? And if you look at what they've done, Republicans and Democrats, for years and years and years, is they make big promises and they don't fulfill them. And in times of crisis, they all become socialists, and they are all worried about power, right? And so think about right now, if I said to you, Republicans and Democrats are arguing over how many trillions of dollars to print as the next stimulus bill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You'd say, no, Republicans would never do that. And Democrats, they may print money, but they're never going to do trillions.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they both agree that it has to be at least 1 trillion, if not more. And so it's just this weird world of, I don't think it actually matters. Right? And people get mad when I say that, or they kind of like, what do you mean? Like, the politicians are all the same. There's no difference at this point from a monetary policy standpoint. And so, maybe Biden is more like, let's take taxes, right, and kind of tax people. But at the same time, like, I mean, Trump's printed a lot of money under his administration. And so, like, which tax is worse? Them just coming in and taking, another 10%, or them devaluing your currency? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way I look at it is, so they're trying to save the ship, but they're just pouring more water into the ship instead of plugging up the holes. You can keep printing money, and they're going to keep doing that. It doesn't matter, like Pomp said, Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter who you are. The same principle of printing money and bad monetary policy, if there is even a monetary policy, is just how politics is these days. And it's almost like they're just intentionally trying to devalue the currency as fast as possible. Like what else can we come up with? What other stimulus plans can we come up with to print trillions of dollars? I don't think it matters. I think Republican, Democrat, whoever gets elected, either way, it's about to excel in terms of the decline of the dollar. It already is, obviously, but it's about to get a lot worse. So I'd rather, I'd like to be in an asset that would keep my wealth very safe.
Yeah. And I would have to hope that it's, maybe they're intentionally wanting to sink the ship in order to switch ships. It's
possible,
right?
It's possible.
Like I can dream that the Fed would go away and they would have some mixed bag of crypto and precious metals backing our actual money. That would be
that be nice?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll just dream that. So okay, so we'll close it out. We're at 53 right now, and basically, we want to give you guys a chance to talk about, what are you working on? So let's start with Ty. What do you have to tell everybody?
Sure. So what we've been doing for a while now is I've been working on FOMO Hunt. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. I've posted a couple tweets here and there, but we've been kind of grinding head down, just working on it. And what we're trying to solve is that there's so much data coming into crypto now. There's so many new cryptocurrencies popping up every day. There's all these different market indicators. Now you have DeFi yield. So you have all these different things, and what we're concerned about is that when the retail traders come back, and they will, obviously, will they be able to fully understand the complicated process of cryptocurrency? Will they be able to understand what all the metrics mean, what all the indicators mean, what all the data means? So what we're doing is we're building a product that will help aggregate all this data and display it in a way that will compete with some of the top industry competitors like CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So we're hoping to have that out actually by the end of this month, and we think it's going to be a big hit. So
great. Pomp?
Just writing every day and doing podcasts. Obviously got the investing business. We'll announce some pretty big investments here coming up, but pompliletter.com, people can go subscribe there, and we write pretty much every day about macro economy, Bitcoin finance, stuff like that. And then the podcast, just Pomp Podcast. Somehow people are still agreeing to come and tell me all their secrets. So we'll keep doing that until people stop coming.
Awesome.
Nice. Well, we'll have to. And by the way, so we gave a shirt away at the beginning, a Bitcoin shirt. So, so anybody who showed up early to the show before we went on air got that. I don't know who got it, but maybe we can get you guys a coupon too, so you can grab one of them. There's some shirts and mugs, a couple of slight different styles. Mostly they're from the Open Source Money episode 1. There was a quote in there, and we decided to do a quick shirt on it. So if you guys are interested, we can give you a coupon as well. Like, subscribe. Before we started, we had someone that actually disliked the show on YouTube. So anyway, like and subscribe. I don't know how this stuff works, right? It's all bizarre, crypto world stuff. But anyway, come back. We're on every Tuesday at 3 Pacific, noon Eastern, and 6 Eastern. Jeez, see my time. I'm sorry, guys. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Thanks. Seriously, thanks for coming on, you guys.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you guys so much for doing this.
Right on. And you can stick around a little after.